Pleased with the teams. But we're going to roll into some stuff. Everybody wants to talk about it. This is something that Blake and I love to do. We love to talk about the chatter. It's the ways that they can improve the team. Hopefully not just on the margins. They need to make some impact stuff, in my opinion. And everything that points to it. The Dodgers have been very active on the rumor mill with going after or checking in on Garrett Crochet, Tarik Skubal. I'm going to go with it, Blake. Luis Robert. I've been saying Robert, but Blake implored me to say just go with Luis Robert to keep some continuity. I'm going to roll with that. But Garrett Crochet is expected to be the top arm available. I would say so. I say that just because I don't know how available Skubal will be. He's there. The White Sox are going to manage his workload coming off of Tommy John, made the transition to the rotation, and he's been incredible. He's got a 3.02 ERA, 2.36 FIP. He's doing it himself. 0.95 whip across 20 starts. He's a legit guy. That's somebody you're all in on, kind of, Blake?
Yeah, I think he's my top target for the team right now. There is a report that came out today. I think it was from Bob Nightingale, who's been pretty locked in.
Yeah.
I think there's a few that came out today even. There's one yesterday, I think, actually from Rosenthal. There's been a lot. It's hard to keep track of them all, but basically the Dodgers have him as their top target, regardless of if he's a starter or a reliever, which kind of interesting to think about. We know in 2020, they used that one of their best starters and put him in a reliever role there. So I think Crochet could kind of fill that as well. And if they do end up getting all their starters back healthy, like Yamamoto, Glasnow are your top two guys, and maybe Bobby Miller comes back, and that gives you three deep starters there.
Yeah.
Like maybe Crochet is best served out of the bullpen. If that doesn't happen, it also gives you the option to say, hey, you're going to have to start, keep him in the rotation, and you have another ace there. So I like the versatility that Crochet has. He would be under team control for 2 years, I believe it is. So
2027.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be a great pickup for the Dodgers. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. It's just about finding the right cost for him, because teams are kind of valuing him as, well, he's going to be a reliever for the rest of the year. But the White Sox are saying, no, he's the number one starter. He's an ace. Look at everything he's done. But he's over the innings limit. His career high in innings, he's passed that by about 40 or so already. So
yeah, he's basically doubled. He's basically doubled his career high, so he has 107.1 right now. In 2021, he had 54 and a third. So he's almost double.
So there's concerns there with that. He had surgery in the past and all that. So yeah, I mean, he's a great arm, a lot to like there. It's just about if the Dodgers are going to match up on the White Sox asking price.
Yeah, a lot of the similar concerns, stuff that, people are going to see that stuff, they're going to hear it, and they're going to draw similarities between him and Tyler Glasnow, high velocity arms, big effort guys. And you're going to say, how much are they going to get pushed? Is the arm going to hold together? Crochet, this is him going into, the starter role. And that's where the questions and that's where the concern might pop up. I'm looking at it purely from the impact standpoint. And the report that Nightingale had today that came out was the Dodgers are exploring a package aside from the early on offer they made for Crochet, which was initially rejected. Rumors came out. Bob Nightingale put it out that the Dodgers are interested in a deal for Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. Does that move the needle for you, essentially getting those two together? Is that kind of steer you that direction? Or, we haven't previewed Skubal, but going that route, if they're able to package both of those and pony up that haul of prospects and major league players, is that something that you'd be a little bit more interested in?
I think Skubal is the best player of the bunch, and Nightingale also reported that they've checked in on him, and I think it was Rosenthal or Alden Gonzalez who said Skubal is their top target. So there's some chatter there. My main concern is I don't think the Tigers actually move him. And if they do end up moving him, I'm not sure the Dodgers have the pieces necessary to get him, especially when, like, say, the Orioles could go and offer better ranked prospects who are more intriguing than anyone the Dodgers have. So I have questions about Skubal and those same questions about Crochet and Robert package. But if they could get that done, I think I would go after Crochet and Robert just because they need a center fielder. It's probably their biggest need on the roster, in my opinion, outside of starting pitchers at this point. So I would love that deal if they got it. It would be an A+ trade deadline, regardless of what else they do. It's just the cost is going to be a lot. if you think you're offering enough, it's probably going to take another 2 or 3 players to actually get it done. And you're talking about a lot of quality going back to Chicago and not just quantity. It's going to be quality and quantity. So it's going to be a tough. You're not going to like the package they're parting with if they make that deal. But I do think it would be one that's worth it. We've talked a lot about how the Dodgers are in their prime window to win for the next maybe 3 to 5 years. And both those guys fit the timeline. They're both under contract. They're team controlled. You'd have them for the next few years. Like, this is probably the time where we can even say a little stupid with their prospects and trade from an uncomfortable position there of giving up maybe too many good players, but to go bring in 2 impact guys.
Toss in, Tim, thanks for the super chat, man. We appreciate you. You're always tuning in as well. Thank you so much. Keep on that same train of thought. Do your best, Blake, to either anger people or for people to say, who cares? Like, the price, like the need for right now, the window right now, the championship slot that they're in, that we've detailed in the past, that we feel it's, 3 years, 5 years. I would say 3 years is that perfect range where we can say they're going to get their big guys playing at that high quality level. What package would be, just toss me whatever, do your best to do that. Either you can make people feel comfortable about letting them go, or you can, piss a lot of people off by saying that's ridiculous. And then the prospect people are going to come in here and say it's way, way too much, which is okay to be, because it's about making an optimal move. And restraint is good. And Friedman has said in the past, a lot of his best moves have come with restraint, that you don't make that move. And if it's not there, Mike, chill out. They're not going to trade those guys. Everything's on the table. And I think the early aggressiveness, the chatter, I think it's very real. The Dodgers understand that they're in a spot, the league, we've talked about it. It's such a down year for Major League Baseball as a whole, with in terms of teams that are just blowing the opposition away. The Dodgers got a taste of what the Phillies have in their stable of arms, and their depth of lineup there when the Dodgers got swept out of Philadelphia. So for me, it looks like a year where the Dodgers, they're playing like this and they're getting healthy. If they're going to make moves, I think it's got to be impact just because of the starters. And if they don't, double up Lou Bob and Crochet, that's fine if they get one or the other. And I see some people saying, Luis Robert is the more optimal target, which may be because of their need for an outfielder, a controllable outfielder, but also because of, and especially a center fielder, but also their need for starting pitching. So now that I bought you some time, buddy, who are you ready to let go of?
It might be shorter to say who I'm not ready to let go of their prospect rankings.
Go ahead.
And I'm not even sure that's anyone. I think every prospect would have to be available in that discussion, and I'm not sure there's any I'd fully make untouchable in that. I think you're starting a package with Dalton Rushing, Josue DePaula, River Ryan, and building from that, maybe throw in a Joendry Vargas, Jackson Ferris type, Nick Frasso, Kyle Hurt maybe gets involved in that deal, although I think he's a little older compared to some of the prospects, so White Sox might not be as open to him, especially with the potential injury he has. And you're just going to keep building on that, throw in some other guys like Peyton Martin type, Maddox Bruns, maybe Robleski, someone the White Sox end up liking. Zaire Hope has made some progress in the minor leagues, so you basically say pick 5 or 6 of those guys and go from there. Then maybe add a filler or 2 in, but it's going to be a big package for both those players. They're both elite players with team control, so you're going to have to get a little uncomfortable to make that deal, and you're going to send a lot back. So whether that's the right move for the Dodgers or not, can debate that. I would probably argue they should go out and do something like that. It is probably the right move at this time, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. And maybe,
just like you said, it's going to be something that people are going to look at and they're going to say that's stupid. But then we might look back in a few years and say, it's another Andrew Friedman fleece job. No, none of those guys turned out. Like Manny Machado trade, you don't hear about anything that came of that, from players they gave away. A lot of stuff works out. Mookie Betts trade. Connor Wong is, I believe, the best piece that went back to the Boston Red Sox. That trade came at a time when, COVID was going on. But, or the extension, sorry. That came at a time where, the Dodgers didn't give up much. They gave away prospects that they built up themselves. So this is not, for me, I agree with Blake, and it's going to feel a little stupid, but they've shown the ability to prospects from other teams that have little to no value, and bring them to a point where now they're sought after. And I don't know if the league's kind of caught on to that. They maybe they have, and that's why a lot of deals haven't happened. But Andrew Friedman's made the big deal in the past. He's gotten Rich Hill. He's packaged two players up. He's gotten Rich Hill, Josh Reddick. He's gone out Trey Turner, Max Scherzer. Like, he's went out and made the big move. Manny Machado. Like, it's happened. So I'm not going to count him out. I'm not going to count him out. Like, it's the package deal. And if people want to fix where it's not going to get so crazy where you're saying you're calling up 3 different teams to do stuff, it's a spot, and it's a player, and it's an arm that they need currently. His workload remains to be seen what they'll do. But if Crochet's the top arm, he's the guy they need. I don't see any reason why they can't go get him, why they wouldn't go get him. And it'll feel a little stupid. But the Dodgers have shown the ability to bring in guys, especially pitchers. And it's kind of an area for us that we've harped on a bit, but they can bring in pitchers and bring them to a point and get them in their system where they're valued throughout Major League Baseball as prospects, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're in a position where they can move guys. The team is kind of set for the next few years, like mostly for their starters. Muncie's under contract, Mookie's under contract, Freeman, Smith, Ohtani. The main issue there is their outfield, which adding Robert would help solve that a lot. Maybe they re-sign Teoscar and keep him around. You got Pages in one of the spots there, although maybe Pages is one of the guys going back to Chicago, or James Outman, even potentially. Like, I would say mostly the core is locked in, so you can be a little crazy and move some of these prospects to go get guys that will help you for now and the long term. I know they have a lot of starters coming back next year, so maybe Crochet isn't as much of a long-term need, but I mean, you can never have too much pitching, as we've seen this year, and maybe that makes someone like Gavin Stone a potential trade option, or Bobby Miller to go get another elite piece for their outfield or something. Like, it just gives you more options down the line as well, so it's not a bad thing to have too many starters there. So I think it makes all the sense in the world for the Dodgers to get a little more aggressive than they've normally been this trade deadline.
And I'm trying to cater to people that are, anti big trade, or, anti big prospect, haul going away from the Dodgers to acquire this stuff. And I think this is a really good point. Flying Sky, appreciate you, tuning in. Thanks for this. Big trade is risky, but so is not doing anything in the trade deadline. Guys coming back aren't a guarantee. Take the risk, go for the trade. And I'm gonna pull that down because it's massive. But thanks for the question. It's a really good point, Blake. Where are you on kind of that sense?
I think I'm kind of in the middle of it. Like, I agree with the sentiment there that it's risky to make a big trade and risky not to. I think they're going to have guys coming back from injury. That's going to help. That's a guarantee. And a lot of the guys that they're expecting also might not come back. Like, I think it's a safe bet to say Mookie's going to come back, but we don't know if Yamamoto is going to come back. So they do have to go supplement the roster. It's something Dave Roberts has talked about already. And Roberts said it kind of as like if we're going to like go get a trade, or if we're going to bring guys up and not do both of them. But I think that was just a little more of like GM type front office manager speak there. And they're going to end up doing both. They're going to bring guys up to help them, and they're going to go make trades to help them. So maybe they just go with all the internal options, and that's what helps them out the most. I would say that might even be the most likely thing if we're betting on Mookie and Muncy and potentially Yamamoto and Glasnow coming back. Like, they're probably not going to make any trades bigger than that happening. So maybe there is a little more risk to making a trade just because of that. But at the same time, if you can supplement all that with a trade, it makes a lot of sense.